right. So a man who was there, Owen Shroyer from Infowars, the War Room, is joining us right now on the line. Good morning, Owen. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm sure you had an interesting 24 hours.
Yeah, this is definitely one that is going to be pretty seared into the memory. It was one of those days for me, as I guess it was for the rest of America. Yay, on with Alex Jones.
Hmm. So I guess what was your response to what Kanye was saying on the show?
I gotta say, it's one of those things where you kind of take a little time for the dust to settle afterwards. But aside from what I thought of it, I think the better way of describing the first person perspective or actually being there for it would be like this. And this has happened a few times in my career in politics where you're at an event as it's happening, as it happened, you were there for it. And then you look at the media's coverage of it, and it's like it was a totally different event. It's like what the media covered was completely different from what actually happened. Now, of course, that's what's going to happen when they pick and choose what clips they use and which clips go viral. But from behind the scenes, it really felt more innocent. It felt more playful. I mean, Ye was nice to everybody. He was nice to the crew. Obviously, he said those insane, crazy things on air that he might be the one of the only people in the world to go say on TV. Okay, that's his choice. We believe in free speech. Of course, it was going to have to be Alex Jones and Infowars that gave Ye the platform to have that either debacle or whatever you want to call it yesterday. But I mean, it really being there during it, yeah, it was a crazy day. It was obviously a crazy day, but the experience of being there, it was a lot different than the experience of watching people cover it and watching people respond to it. And it's just another one of those things where, I was there for the Ye interview, but the media coverage of it was like a completely different event.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to Owen Shroyer of War Room fame from Infowars. He got a first, in-person seat to the interview that Kanye West did on Infowars with Alex Jones yesterday. So, I mean, I guess you could say perhaps some of those things are taken out of context, but I mean, like, how do you kind of justify I like Hitler? And we can discuss the philosophical perspective here, but I guess probably the intrigue question here is more interesting to me and our listeners here is the accusations that are being made by Laura Loomer and others is that Kanye is being taken advantage of by people like Milo Yiannopoulos and Nick Fuentes. Do you get that impression?
No, no, I'm not sure Laura Loomer is close enough to the scene to provide commentary like that. But I really don't even want to provide commentary like that because I'm not necessarily close to the scene as well. I mean, I know the people that Kanye or Ye is surrounding himself with. I've had positive experiences with them. I don't know if you would say Ye is being controlled by anyone. I would say the exact opposite, if anything. I would say that Ye used to have controllers, and now he's not controlled by anyone, and he's really just kind of free his wings and fly. It's kind of like if you've noticed what's happened to Britney Spears since her conservatorship came to an end. There's been some erratic behavior from her as well, obviously in a different light. But no, I'm not. I'm not so sure Laura Loomer is right about that. I don't know the ins and outs of what's been going on with Ye's fresh relationships. But I mean, I kind of think about it like this. I mean, just 5 years ago, this was kind of a perspective that I'm trying to put onto this for people to understand. 5 years ago, Ye was sleeping with Kim Kardashian and partying with Kim Kardashian and flying around with major celebrities, probably having threesomes and stuff with models and stuff. And now he's flying around on private jets with Nick Fuentes. So I mean, that's a pretty big life shock for a 5 year period, I would say, just to kind of put things into perspective. But no, I think if anything, Ye is completely on his own, spreading his wings. I don't think anybody's controlling him. I think he has been controlled in the past. We saw that with the Harvey Pasternak text. If anything, I think Nick is kind of just along for the ride, and maybe he's kind of got like his hair blown back now, wide eyed, like whoa. Maybe Milo kind of popped in for a little bit and popped out. again, I don't know those ins and outs, but I'm not sure that Laura Loomer is close enough to the scene to really know those ins and outs either.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to Owen Shroyer. Make sure you click like, hit subscribe, and that bell notification icon so you can get updates whenever we go live, which is Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So I guess what's your take on this whole thing? I mean, I guess big picture, the dinner with Donald Trump, would you say that was a good idea for Donald Trump to do that? Or are you supporting Donald Trump's new presidential campaign? Or how do you feel about that whole situation?
Well, this is certainly going to be used to destroy Donald Trump. And in fact, I'm watching the morning news. They're already attacking Kanye, of course. We saw that the liberal morning news would be making this a major story. So we kind of saw that coming. Look, I know you're the same way that I am. I don't mind talking to anybody. I mean, I think everybody has the right to talk, and that's perfectly fine. And just because one man says something ludicrous or insane doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad man. And just because that man is hanging around or doing deals with other men doesn't mean that they're bad men either. I mean, I can't believe that we even have to have this elementary level discussion, but that's what we have to do now, thanks to the left. You know, Donald Trump is going to have to make his own decisions. He knows what the media is like. He knows what the Democrats are like. I'm sure he knew that there was going to be some backlash from the Ye dinner. Apparently he didn't know that Fuentes was going to come there, but I don't see why that's such a big deal to begin with anyway. But, I kind of just look back, and again, it's one of those things where my experience was totally different than the media's coverage. It felt in the moment innocent and joyful enough. Again, granted, the statements made might have been insane. Austin, Howard Stern became one of the top paid radio hosts in the history of the world. Are we going to sit here and act like the things that he has been saying for decades are any more or less crazy than what Ye said yesterday? I mean, it's ridiculous what Howard Stern has been able to get away with. But I guess because he's a good liberal, nobody talks about that. Everybody wants to talk about Ye. And I would say my bottom line is this, Austin, because it was the biggest story in America yesterday. We'll see what happens today with it if they leave that bone down or bury it, or they decide to pick it back up and carry it around. But the real amazing shock thing to me, and this comes from the entire spectrum of the media, the left, the right, and the middle, that this was the biggest story. You couldn't log on to the internet, whether it was social media or Yahoo or Google or any news website. You couldn't get on the internet without seeing clips and headlines and everything about Ye on with Alex Jones, and of course all the negativity. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just stunned because, Austin, this week we had undercover video of unaccompanied minors from the border that are in sex trafficking now. I mean, we had video of sex slaves, child sex slaves on video saying, I get pimped out, I get whored out, I get raped. Now, at any point in the week, were those videos dominating the internet? No. At any point in the week, was that news story dominating the internet with a Health and Human Services government whistleblower on tape as well? Was that dominating the internet ever this week? No, not once. But then Ye goes on Alex Jones in a GIMP mask and says crazy radical things, which make up maybe 10% of his content on the show that day, maybe less. And everybody's covering it. Everybody's clipping it out. I mean, I was stunned. Some of these people had to spend hours, Austin, hours going through the tape, editing it out, clipping it all together. Hours on what one man has said. And I said this yesterday and I'll say it again. I don't agree with anything Kanye West said. I think Nazis and socialists are the most deplorable people in human history. Some of the most deplorable people. Again, I don't have to be elementary and say that. I'm not a child. We shouldn't have to play that game. But it's like that becomes the story instead of an actual story. Kanye West didn't tell people to take a vaccine that ended up killing them. Kanye West doesn't go downtown Chicago shooting and killing people. Kanye West is not the one that lies us into wars that cause millions to die and trillions of dollars to get spent. I mean, it's like, do I have to go on? All these people saying Ye is crazy, Ye is crazy, Ye is crazy. Okay, maybe Ye is crazy. What about the people that think men can get pregnant? What about the people that believe trans kids surgery is gender affirmation and not just child abuse? I mean,
Um,
again, I can go down the list.
I know.
So I can.
And I just wanted to kick in here. Like suddenly, no one's talking about the mass protests in China that may destabilize the Chinese Communist Party's hold on that country. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, because that goes against the narrative of the regime. Owen, I've got another question for you that's somewhat tangentially related to this one, because your boss Alex Jones, he is still deplatformed on Twitter, even though Elon Musk claimed that it was going to be a free speech haven. It seems as if the reasons why he does so are rather subjective and I think somewhat arbitrary. If you're going to allow all these other people to have a platform on Twitter, so my question for you is what do you think about Elon Musk and his decision not to allow Alex back on the platform? Do you like Elon Musk or do you not trust him?
I think I'm neutral on it. I think I'll play it by, play by play here. If he does a good thing, he does a good thing. If he does a bad thing, he does a bad thing. I think overall what he's done with Twitter is a good thing so far. I certainly am not going to be taking his brain chip and putting it into my brain. I don't plan on ever doing that. But if the technology can make blind people see and paralyzed people walk, then I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad. So, I'm more neutral on it. I'd like to just continue to follow the Elon Musk saga to see what happens. I think it's relevant to follow. He is the richest man in the world, supposedly. He does have kind of the technological breakthroughs happening right now, and he took over Twitter.
Will you be
As far
restored on
as
Twitter, Owen? Will you get your Twitter
I
back?
that's a tough one. I did so there's a bit of a timeline here after I got suspended years ago, but I was never able to. I never got a warning. I never got strikes. They never told me what I did wrong, and I was never even able to appeal the suspension. Now we all know why they suspended me, but I appealed the suspension for the first time. I was even able to appeal it when Musk took over. They rejected my appeal, but since then, that was kind of in the first week that he took over. Since then, he said he's going to reinstate more accounts. My account hasn't been reinstated. I'm kind of 50-50 because I think that there's two problems that I have. One is I do work for Alex Jones and Infowars, so in a way I'm tethered to that. And now because I got wrangled into all the Sandy Hook lawsuits, I'm tethered to that as well. And Elon Musk said the reason he's not letting Alex back on is because of Sandy Hook. So does that same logic apply to me just because I was at Infowars and just because I was involved in those lawsuits, even though I wasn't even there during the Sandy Hook coverage? I don't know. But yeah, I'd probably like to be back on Twitter, but it's not going to break my heart if I don't get back on there. And I'm going to give Musk a fair shot to say whether he's good or bad. To me, I think it's neutral right now. He does good things, he does bad things.
Hmm. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to Owen Shroyer from the War Room on Infowars. You can text us show at 573-319-1586. Make sure you click like, hit subscribe to the YouTube channel, and get that bell notification so you can get our notifications whenever we're live. Owen, is there anything else of importance about this story or others that you think that our listeners should know before we let you go?
Well, I think it really is sad. And I don't even think necessarily it's so sad what Ye said. I mean, that's, again, do I really have to be elementary here and say Nazis are bad? Like, give me a break. I bash socialism all day long, just like you do. I'm sick of the lies from the media. I'm sick of Nazis being called right wing when they were clearly left wing. They were socialists, just like every other murderous regime in the 20th century. And yet here we are in the 21st century, and socialists are trying to conquer America. So I have to say, I think that the real story here that is just blowing my mind is that Ye becomes the biggest story. Him saying ridiculous, ludicrous stuff becomes the biggest story in a week where we literally on video had children saying, I am an unaccompanied minor illegal immigrant that is now a sex slave on video, on video. And all the people that spent hours putting up the Kanye clips and finding the different way to perfectly tweet out how much they hate Kanye or all this stuff completely ignored that story. And or like you said, China, what's going on in China? That was a huge story. And now the Chinese communists have had to back off. I mean, that is a huge story, but everybody's talking about Kanye. And, I don't know. I feel like Kanye was an organic person. He felt like he was real to me. I think he means what he says. I don't know if he actually likes Nazis. I think he just says that because he wants the attention. I think he just says the things that you can't say just to prove you can say them. I think it's like a white person going on air and saying the N-word just to say, hey, I can say the N-word, which Nick Fuentes has done, ironically enough. So I
Do
just
you
think
think that
it's
Nick
sad,
means
though.
it though? Like, do you think Nick means it?
No, again, I think there's just a level of shock jock radio type of thing and a level of when you tell me I can't say something, I'm going to say it. You've already taken everything away from me. I have nothing to lose. So I'm just going to come out and I'm just going to say it. But again, if you think Ye is out of his mind, okay, fine. If you think Ye is saying things that are extremely abhorrent and offensive to you, okay, fine. Again, he is not even in the top 1,000 problems that we have in this country, and yet somehow he becomes the biggest story. So, but the one question people are asking today, and they're saying, "Oh, look, his account got frozen at 32 million.2. See, it's skull and bones." He comes on in the face mask. It was all an op to destroy Infowars and vandalize Alex Jones and then leave. I don't know. It felt organic. It felt like Ye was there just to do his thing and not with ulterior motives. But you can't help but wonder. You can't help but wonder when the weirdness goes down and the face mask and the things he said and everything. But I'd like to really, I'd just like to move on. I'd like the American media to move on. The problem is this: they're never going to. This is going to be anchored to Alex Jones and Infowars. I mean, just me for being there. They're going to try to anchor it to me. Whatever. That's
Owen,
fine. That's the
Owen, what are you?
craziness of the media.
Owen, what are you going to be talking about today on the War Room?
We're going to be discussing how the Chinese communists had to back down with the lockdowns because of the protest. We've got this crazy nuclear waste head in the energy department stealing things, doing puppy kink dances. There's more stories on the child sex trafficking at the southern border. There's all kinds of big news out there. I haven't flushed back into it yet this morning, but it was frustrating to me that became the dominant story when it was a crazy live stream, maybe the most viewed in Infowars history. Ye said some crazy stuff that everybody wanted to clip out, but it wasn't real news. It was an impactful story. It's not going to impact anybody's lives. What's going on right now at the White House? I mean, now have you? I don't know if you've heard. Now the White House is open for peace talks with Russia. Oh, really? Oh, really? After you laundered hundreds of billions of dollars, after you got caught laundering hundreds of billions of dollars, now you're ready for peace talks. And Russia's already won the war. So we're going to get back to the real world news on the War Room today.
Owen Shroyer of Infowars fame from the War Room and a Missourian himself, homegrown Missourian now in Texas. Owen, thank you for your time today. We appreciate your insight very much.